It is Friday, June 30th, 2023. This is another edition of Baseball Today. That is my man, Trevor Plouffe. I am Chris Rose, producer Dan along for the ride as well. We are officially through the month of June. Wow, July this weekend? Seriously?
July tomorrow. Yes, we are through the month of June. We're at the halfway or a little bit over halfway with the baseball season. This is where, we always say the cream rises to the top. This is when pretenders can become contenders. Or the other way around, because we've seen a lot of that around the league, Rosie. A lot of these teams that we thought were going to be at the top of the standings are right now either middling or just not in it at all. I think we're going to talk about some of them, right?
Yep. A lot to get to over the next 30 minutes or so if you're joining us on the podcast or YouTube side of things. Tip of the cap to one Christopher Morel. He's really been great since the Cubs recalled him, but this is what I loved. After, I think they got swept at home by the Phillies, didn't they?
Yes.
Okay, this is a picture of him after the game signing for fans. Apparently he did this for quite a while. Now, as you know, it ain't easy after a loss to stick around. I don't see a lot of guys do it, and I understand it. But particularly after you get swept at home in what was a pretty big series against the defending National League champs. And here he is doing his thing. Tip of the cap. Cool thing.
It's awesome, and I wish more guys would do it. It does, in all honesty, it gets a little daunting when you're up there and you start signing for one or two people because then it becomes a crowd. Then you're in it for a while. But every once in a while to go do that, I think is really, really important because – I remember, my first autograph at a game, and a lot of people remember their first autographs at a game. When I go to Twins Fest, people remind me all the time, hey, you signed this for me back when. It's just important. It creates kind of lifelong core memories. So, yeah, I like that. Tip of the cap.
Week from Tuesday, the Midsummer Classic up in Seattle. We found out about the starters yesterday. Some newbies, a lot of Texas Rangers out there, some really cool stories. Who are you most excited for to have received the honor?
There's a couple of them. I kind of like the guys that are unsung. One on the side, Orlando Arcia, to start the game after not even knowing he was going to really be on a starter for his team. I think that's kind of a cool story. A lot of people were worried about that going into the season for the Braves. And then the other one I like is JD Martinez. I like the older guys kind of figuring stuff out. I watched him hit last night. He still just got the sweetest swing, man. Just driving the ball to all different parts of the park. Because I went to his guy to hit, I know his mechanics very well. So every time I see his at-bats, I'm really locked into him. But I thought what he's done this year for the Dodgers has been incredible. And, he gets rewarded with the All-Star nod.
Yeah, count me as one of those guys that was a little skeptical. He had a great first half last year and then completely fell off. And you always wonder if it's that time in a guy's career where he can't regain it. And then when they seemingly picked J.D. Martinez over Justin Turner, I was like, man, I don't know. And Justin Turner's actually had a really good first half for Boston.
Yes.
I still think that they miss part of what Justin Turner brings outside of the batter's box. But what J.D. Martinez has done inside of the batter's box, awesome.
Almost 900 OPS, 135 OPS plus. He's got 19. There's a lot of homers going on around. 19 homers by the All-Star game is big boy stuff.
Yep, sure is. Well, he's going to have more by the All-Star break. He could have over 20. For me, the reason I am wearing the Diamondbacks hat, and I'm going to pull a Plouffe here. I'm going to say two guys. Corbin Carroll. We knew he was going to be great as a rookie. We didn't know he was going to be a legit top 5 NL MVP candidate. And he has been exactly that. He has provided virtually everything Arizona has wanted. He is the main reason, in my opinion, why they are the top dog in the NL West through halfway the season. And, side note, where's he from?
Seattle.
How cool is that?
Awesome. It's amazing, dude. It's amazing. I'm so stoked for that guy to one. I mean, how many things could we clap for him for? One, you come up and you're one of the best players in the National League. Two, you get signed to a $100 million deal. Three, you get nominated to be a starter All-Star. And four, the All-Star game just happens to be in your hometown. I mean, that's amazing. You're probably not going to forget 2023 for Corbin Carroll.
We're all about perspective here. He will be the 24th rookie to start an all-star game. Here's some of the outfielders that started as a rookie. Joe DiMaggio, Frank Robinson, Ichiro, Aaron Judge.
That's it?
No. There's a couple others
I was going to say,
there.
okay.
Some guys were replacements for guys that were voted in but couldn't start because of injury and things of that nature. But I just I cherry-picked a couple of big names. Also, one other shout-out, and I'll throw on his lid real quick, just because I think the story's amazing. Yandy Diaz of the Tampa Bay Rays. His quote yesterday to Trisha Whitaker, who does a phenomenal job covering the Rays, by the way, down there in Bally's, said, "When I left Cuba, all I was thinking was to have a better life. I didn't even think I'd sign with a big league team. I'm so grateful and happy." I mean, if you don't tear up a little bit hearing that quote.
I love watching that guy play, too.
Oh, my God. Such a beast. He's had a great, great year. I know he's dipped a little bit lately, but still phenomenal. He's 2 homers shy of a career high and over 100 points higher in his career OPS. Awesome.
Can I do a tip of the cap?
Please, you can.
The entire Texas Rangers infield is just starting. Yeah. Like, that's pretty cool, man. Like, Marcus Semien and Seager. Well, not Nate Lowe, I know, but third base, shortstop, second base. Mm-hmm. You figure Semien and Seager got a shot for Josh Young to come in and also be there with his guys. I think it's a quick turnaround, a cool story for Texas, and they have a big series coming we might talk about.
Yes, they do. In fact, let's get to it. More interesting first versus second place in your division series. Marlins paying a visit to the ATL, or the Astros starting a 4-game wraparound series in the aforementioned Texas.
I bet you think I'm going with Texas, but I'm not. I'm going down in Atlanta. That series. Winners of 5 in a row for the Marlins. Winners of 5 in a row for the Braves. There are some interesting pitching matchups going on. You were talking a little bit about them on AMP. We have Sandy versus Strider. We have the young dude versus the vet, and Yuri versus Charlie. What are the Marlins in 1-run games? 19-5 in 1-run games. They're chasing Atlanta in the division. They're a decent ways back. I think 6 games back. I just want to see these pitchers go up against each other. I want to see these guys face off. Jazz Chisholm back, I think, does something for me and does something for that offense. So that's the one I'll be glued on. I think it's gonna be an interesting series.
I think it's a great litmus test for the Marlins to see exactly where they are. I think we both think, we said it earlier this week, that they're playing the best team in baseball, the most complete team. We were reminded by one of our awesome listeners out there that Mike Soroka is going to make his first start at home in, I think it's over 3 years.
That's amazing. And 1-6 already, though, against Atlanta, Miami is. So they need to turn that around a little bit. The litmus test, they've been failing the litmus test so far.
Well, but has it been a little while since they last played them? I feel like that might have been an early May sort of
deal. They
had
him at the end of April and early May. They faced him kind of like back to back.
Yeah, so there you go. Well. I mean, and I think that they're a slightly different team because even as little as 3 or 4 weeks ago, certainly I wasn't on them. I know that you believed a little bit more in them. I didn't because of their hitting, but they've hit the ball well enough.
They were 16-13 the last time they faced off. Then they got swept, put them back down to 500.
And now what are they? They're 14, 15 games over 500?
Yeah, they've been winning, man.
Okay. This is fun. I'm going to go to the other one, and not because I just want to go to the other one, but I really think that it's interesting here. Houston, even though they finished up well in St. Louis, they've dropped 8 of their last 13. But if they win 3 of 4 this weekend in Arlington, the lead in the AL West is going to be down to 3. Now, if you think big picture about how good Texas has been, even though they barely had DeGrom in the first half, right? You just talked about all the stars littering the infield. Garcia's had an all-star year in the outfield. The starting rotation, even without Jacob, has really been good. Nathan Eovaldi's going to make the all-star team. John Gray's got a shot, I believe. All that sort of stuff. If Houston wins the series, not even sweeps up 4 games, just wins the series, the lead's going to be down to 3. And Jordan hasn't even played the last several weeks. You could say whatever you want about the Houston Astros, and many people have. Oh, this is the year we're going to count them out. Os Verlander, Jordan hasn't been healthy. They haven't gotten an at bat from Brantley. They could be right there.
This team just knows how to win and win series, and this is also a team that I can put a lot of faith into go on runs. Like, okay, yeah, they haven't played great over the last 2 weeks, whatever it is. They're coming into this one playing better, but would you be surprised if they went a week without losing a game? Like, that's just kind of, I mean, I have that faith in this team, and I think everybody around the league knows that it can happen very quickly. So yeah, this is not counting them out of that division whatsoever. You can't.
And I also think that this is going to be the first time in a few years where they're going to make a huge splash trade. Now, they have gone and gotten relievers. They have gotten some bit parts to help with the run that they've gone on over the last several years. But I think the last major trade was Greinke in 2019. I think we looked at that. I mean, I'm talking about a big time mid-season trade. We could be wrong on that, but
where do you think they go? Are we talking like an outfield bat? Are we talking a starter? Are we talking?
Well, you and I have talked about a center fielder for them. Like I don't know how many guys. Yeah, I mean, but I think the Cubs feel like they're still in it, right?
Bellinger can go on the Astros, bro.
For drama's sake, God, we sure hope so. I think that would be a hell of a lot of fun for all of us.
Oh, man.
You know what else is fun? What our boy Jake and Joe's McFly, what they're doing this weekend. They are off to the Windy City. Why? Because NASCAR is headed to the streets of Chicago, an unprecedented road course race right through the heart of the city. There has truly been nothing quite like it in NASCAR's 75 years of existence, and it's an epic way to celebrate those 75 years of racing, competition, and innovation with this one-of-a-kind event. The field will be as even as ever, considering this is every driver's first time behind the wheel on this course. So what does a road course do? If you're not a NASCAR fan, right, they're used to just turning left, right? They just do this the whole time. No, they've got 12 twists and turns through historic Grant Park, and that's going to make for some unbelievable racing. There's also a playoff spot on the line, so you never know what's going to happen. Oh, there's one other thing. Chicago, May through October, one of my favorite cities to visit. The weather's awesome. People love to party it up. And this weekend, it's July 4th weekend, so make sure you get the whole crew together, celebrate the Stars and Stripes, and tune into the first ever Chicago Street Race, July 2nd, 5:30 Eastern on NBC. You ever been to a NASCAR event?
No, but I want to. We used to drive by it my first year when I was in the Appalachian League out there in Tennessee. There's Bristol. And before that
racing.
Yeah, before that race, I don't know, like 2 weeks out from it, people were like already camping and they had everything. It was crazy to see that. So I would love to go to one. I don't know if I'd like it. I'd like the crowd aspect of it, like tailgating, all that. I know I'd like that, but watching it, I'm not so sure. I have an uncle that's like super, super into it. We'll record them. If you can't watch them, you can't talk about them, like one of those guys.
Yeah, seeing all the trailers getting in there and the motorhomes, and it's quite a sight. I went out to Fontana many moons ago. Yeah. And I've covered some of the stuff when I used to work at Fox, so it's really an interesting area. No question.
They call it the number one spectator sport in the U.S., or am I wrong about that?
You mean in person?
Yeah, I think so. Like the biggest crowds.
Well, yeah, because you're talking about hundreds of thousands of people.
Love that.
And let's not talk about the parties on the infield, certain places.
That's where I would thrive. See, Rosie.
Oh boy, maybe in your single days. Let's move it along before we get into too much trouble. I just talked about the Houston Astros a little bit. They took it to the Cardinals, and in particular, Adam Wainwright on Thursday. Did not make it out of the second inning. 6 runs, an inning and 2/3. His ERA now sits at nearly 7.5. Waino's in the last year of his amazing career. He is 41 years old. He has started to question himself, and he was worried a little bit that maybe his manager was as well.
Get my age, you just wonder sometimes if people have lost faith in you, and that's what he walked over and said he hadn't lost faith in me, and still believed I was going to finish strong and going to help this team win a lot of games, which that's what I asked him. I said, hey, just don't give up on me, you know. And he said, I'm not giving up on you until this is over.
It's tough to watch. I watched this whole press conference yesterday. That was not fun at all. And he's obviously talking about his skipper, Ollie Marmol, who came over to him. How much do the Cards owe it to Waino to see it through for this entire year?
I don't know. Like, owing him is a weird thing for me. I don't think they really owe it to him to continue to start. But, like, I think that he can figure things out, I guess. I don't know if that's going to be in, like, a starter's capacity. Although, you know, if the manager comes up to you and says, like, we haven't lost faith in you, you're going to keep going, you're going to figure this out, like, till the end. That's what he said. So I mean, I guess I expect him to keep starting. That can change pretty quickly, though, if they, especially where they're at in the standings. I think that's the biggest thing. And I love Wainwright, and I respect Wainwright and his career and everything he's done. But when you're in their position, and if you're really, I mean, I don't know, do they think they could climb back into this thing? I guess that's where you have to find out, like, you have to know where their headspace is at, right? Like, if they really don't believe they can climb into it, then Waino can go out there and continue to pitch and try to figure things out on the mound. I mean, he talked about his curveball not working. It's still like a really plus pitch. And maybe it hasn't been, and it wasn't against the Astros. It's got a negative 15 run value. It's the only pitch that he has that has a negative run value. Everything else, the four-seamer hasn't been good this year. But that's been that way for the last 2 years. The only positive or negative run value means good. It's the only negative run value pitch he has is that curveball. So I think he can spin that, but he's got to get the other stuff working as well. I mean, the numbers aren't good. The starts haven't been great. He's had a couple where they're serviceable. I don't even know if he's had a quality start yet. I was looking at his game logs. I guess he had one against the Mets, 6 1/3, 3 earned runs. But other than that, they've been five innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 3 earned runs. He's given him a chance for the most part. The last 2 starts haven't been good at all. So I got to imagine he continues to start for a while, but again, it could change pretty quickly.
I cannot remember a more disastrous Cardinals season in my lifetime.
Yeah, I keep thinking it's going to turn around, see Rosie, but it's just not.
It just isn't. Katie Wu did a phenomenal breakdown on what happened last night. She had an alarming number in there. The Cardinals have been in last place 70% of the season. 70 in that division. Like, what has happened here? As far as getting to the question of Adam Wainwright, no, you don't owe it. You don't owe him anything. You owe the organization whatever you can to make it the best season possible, or to make your future as good as it can be, right? We know that Michaelis is going to be around next year. Outside of that, we don't know a whole lot, right? Jordan Montgomery's a free agent. Wainwright's out of here. Flaherty's a free agent. Matt Liberator's already in the rotation, so, and he hasn't been great, but he's a young guy they got to give a shot to here. The only other thing you could do is put Steven Matz back in the rotation, but he's 0-7 with an ERA near 5. He did a nice job coming in and, saving it a little while after Wainwright stunk it up. But, like, what are we waiting for? Is there a kid in AAA that Wainwright's preventing from getting some time here in the big leagues? I don't know.
I don't think there is, and that's where I'm kind of questioning this whole thing. It's like, what do you do if a guy's struggling? It's been his last 2 starts, like I said. What do you do? Do you give him some, like, long rolls out of the bullpen? I don't think you do that to him. It doesn't seem like that's logical. Now, do you phantom him, throw some bullies on the side? Like, that's always an option. It really is. And with a guy like that who understands, like, the business of baseball, he might want that and say, hey, man, like, give me a week. Give me 10 days to figure things out. So, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but he's, pretty upset. And there is the mental health list now that you can go on to, which the Twins have utilized already this year.
There was that story that earlier this week that Wainwright deactivated his Twitter account. He said, listen, I was just spending too much time on it, reading a lot of negative shit, particularly after his start over in London, which did not go well. And he said, I'm sitting here on the couch with my family, He's got 5 kids. And he said, I'm sitting here watching, just reading through Twitter. And he was like, this is not healthy for me. So he deactivated it. I did go through and read the tweet responses to Katie Woo's column, and a lot of it was very positive from all the Cardinal fans. And that's the way it should be. And this is going to be a terrible last season memory for him. And I suppose that's the worst thing to come out of this, is that I hate it for him. He has been such a stalwart in that organization. It's been the only big league uniform he's ever put on. And everybody's going to say, well, he should have retired with Yachty. And I just don't think that's fair. And I think let's prefer to remember all the great things he's done for that team. And if he's able to fight through here and maybe reclaim a little bit of that glory in the second half, let's try and hang on to that and just appreciate that he's trying to fight through this shit.
Who did that last year for the Cardinals?
Albert Pujols.
Albert Pujols came on hot in the second half. Yeah, this is a guy that everyone wants to root for. He's, class act, respected around the game. So I don't know what to do. I'm sure they're racking their brains over there too. Like, what can we do to get the performance better? Not only for our team, but for Waino too. They don't want to see him go out like this.
There's no possibility during the All-Star break that he's hanging out with his family and is like, this seems kind of fun. Let's do this instead of the last 3 months.
No, I don't think he would do that. I think that he's a guy that would like to finish out the year and, finish, what he started. So I don't see that happening. No.
The only reason I brought it up was because when I talked to Skip Schumacher after he got the Marlins job, remember he was the bench coach in St. Louis. Albert really struggled the first few months. And Schumacher said, I didn't definitively know this, but I had a feeling, knowing Albert the way I do, that he was tinkering with the idea of walking away mid-season and just saying, just hasn't worked out. And that's the only reason I bring it up. Now, once again, Schumacher didn't know that for a fact. It was just something he threw out there. We've got that on a past episode if you want to go listen to the whole thing. Cards not alone in their struggles. Which other team would you like to see step it on the accelerator for the next week and a half, tear it up as they head into the All-Star break?
Well, I kind of mentioned this team earlier, but I'm going to go with the Chicago Cubs. They've lost 4 in a row now. They have some pieces there that we really like, but if they don't turn it around and catch fire before the break, they're not going to be there at the end of the year. They're going to have a lot of interesting decisions to make with that team. When they're good, they're a lot of fun to watch. Right now, they're sitting 7 games back of a wild card spot, so they really got to catch fire. They got to leapfrog the Pirates, the Brewers, the Reds, and the Phillies that just swept them. So there's a lot of work to be done. But if I could choose one team, I think that would be it. Like, let's go make the front office have a difficult decision. That's kind of what you talk about in the clubhouse when you're floundering like this, or you're kind of around that mark where it could go either way. It's like, let's make them have a difficult decision. Let's not make it easy on them. Like, let's get up there around the 500 mark. What are they? They're 5 games under 500. Let's get up there around the 500 mark and see what happens. Let's hang together, boys. And I think, this week or 10 days is going to tell a lot. It's going to make or break if they're going to be together or not.
If they could start that Monday, I would prefer it, considering they play the Guardians this weekend, but I appreciate your sentiment. I will go with one team that made the playoffs that we barely pick on. We'll take our shots at the Cardinals. What the hell's the matter with them? The Mets, you guys are going to spend $350 million on that payroll. Padres, you give everybody $200 million and you stink. What's happened to the Seattle Mariners this year?
Oh, yeah.
What has happened to you guys? You just maybe we don't talk about them because they're tucked away in the Pacific Northwest, and we just thought they were this cute little story. And so this year we were like, oh, yeah, they've got a shot to be really good, particularly with that rotation. Here they are. They're 3 games under 500 and 5+ out on the wild card. Let's go. And I really am throwing down the gauntlet because here's some of the pitchers they are going to face before the All-Star break. McClanahan, Glasnow, Logan Webb. I believe Alex Cobb is coming back. Fromber, Christian Javier. I'm telling you, show me something. You want to get back in this thing? Go win a series from Tampa Bay. Go take care of the San Francisco Giants, who've been on a great run the last 5 or 6 weeks. Finish the first half by doing your business down in Houston. Or you could just kind of just trudge along. And offensively, they're a nightmare. They've got 4 guys that have already struck out at least 90 times. There's 2 guys already over 100 on the season. They're leading OP. Who do you think leads the team in OPS?
It's not Kelnick anymore. Is it Caballero?
No, it's Mike Ford in his 53 at bats, 779.
My guy Caballero.
Rest you guys.
Caballero. What am I saying? I can't even say that name right now.
Is it Caballero?
I have a mental block. That was weird. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right. You get them in this business. I've gotten plenty of them every day. But come on, guys. This is supposed to be your year. We're having the All-Star game up here where there's going to be a bunch of Mariners in it and starting. Now who are you going to get? Luis Castillo, and that's it?
Rosie, they're 24th in OPS in the league. They're 24th in OBP. Not getting on base, not slugging. I mean, therein lies your problem because everything else is kind of working for them. So Julio, get it going. Kelnick, find what you had in the first month. Teoscar, let's go. Eugenio, let's go. They need to have like a little seance with the bats, man. Something.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right, before we get out of here on the YouTube and podcast side of things, better play from the state of Missouri. My guy, Jose Ramirez, with the straight steal of home against Aroldis Chapman in extra innings. Initially, he was called out, but they did an umpire review, and Jose clearly got in there. It was an amazing, amazing slide. But was that better than the kid saving his buddy from a surefire bloody nose with a last-second stick my mitt and somehow catch the ball backward deal?
And you really got me here because these are 2 excellent plays right there. Because you're right, because that ball was going to nail that kid in the face, dude. And then it's like bad memories, and we got to get the first aid kit down there. Happy for him. But the Jose Ramirez play, I mean, just the situation, Chapman on the mound, really focused. I think it was 0-2, 2 outs, lefty up there. Ramirez understands that that's going to be a difficult situation. So I got to make something happen, and just took advantage of it, man. And the slide was perfect. That's a scary play for a runner right there. You're going in, Salvy's a big boy. Like if he puts his body down there and you got your arms outstretched, like it's going to be you can dislocate your shoulder, you can break your fingers. But he just got in there so perfectly. And it's just another example of Jose Ramirez doing MVP type stuff. Like, to be able to have the wherewithal to just try this and the balls to just try this is one thing, but be able to pull it off too. I mean, that's a freaking big league play. I even put that on my Instagram. I was so excited when I saw it.
It was amazing. It was really unbelievable stuff. And he is one of the most daring and smart base runners out there. Here's the one thing people don't talk about, and I've got a question about it. Jimenez is a left-handed hitter, so he can see him running down the baseline. But it is 2-strike count. How scary is that for Jose Ramirez? He doesn't know if he's swinging or not.
Well, I think because he's a lefty, I think as a runner, you can kind of like pull up if you see him start to swing. I know it sounds crazy, but like,
that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it's difficult because I doubt there was any sort of like signal between them, because you mentioned obviously that it was 2 strikes, and if it is a strike, what are you going to do as a batter? I've never been in that situation, so I don't know. I think that if you see him coming, you just got to say, hey, you got this one, Poppy. If I strike out, I strike out. Like, but you're trying to make something happen.
Yeah, terrifying. All right, anything fun this weekend got going on?
Teddy's got some more baseball.
Love it.
So that's it. We're doing like a wiffle ball thing in my neighborhood tonight, which is awesome.
Okay, good.
A little bit of that.
Sounds
you?
Good. Family's all here. Josh is still in town, our oldest one, so I love that. We're going to be hanging out, having a good old family dinner, and then we'll see where else the weekend takes us. So, Vinny Pasquantino will be the latest co-host on the Rose Rotation. He's always a good time. That'll be coming your way on Monday. And don't forget about the latest edition of Baby Ball Players. I think we're going to release a Cubs edition on Sunday, same day as another Ball and Play League game. Make sure you check it out. We'll be in the stream 6 o'clock Eastern on Sunday. For our one-of-a-kind producer, Dan Rourke, and the always entertaining Trevor Plouffe, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Monday on Baseball Today.